you guys, welcome back. And of course, if you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Tracy Erickson, and this video is going to be My Moldavite Experience Part 2. So stay tuned. In My Moldavite Experience Part 1, I shared with you guys the experience that I had while working with my little piece of Moldavite. And in that video, I just kind of explained some of the things that I had experienced and realized that mostly at that time, Moldavite was helping me to release any worries that I had, helping me to feel a little lighter in spirit, in mind, in emotions. And I felt like Moldavite just brought a lot of synchronicities into my life when I worked with it that first time around. Now, at the end, I did tell you guys in that video that I ended up getting a physical symptom of working with the Moldavite, and that was just a pounding headache. And the headache persisted no matter what I did until I realized that I needed to take the Moldavite out of my bra. And as soon as I took the Moldavite out of my bra, the headache turned off like a light switch. So, after all this time, I did feel as though this time the Moldavite was actually beckoning me to work with it once again. I even told you guys that in my Moldavite Experience Part 1. So I just felt this drawing in coming from the Moldavite. And so I thought, maybe now is the time to begin working with the Moldavite once again. And so this time around, of course, Moldavite has taught me so many lessons. And they all started in February. I began working again with this little piece of Moldavite on February 11th, 2021. And the night before that, I simply could not pee. I'm so sorry if this is too much information, you guys, but it was a realization to me. Once in a while, for some strange reason, if I hold it a little too long, it's difficult for me to release. And I had one of the biggest problems ever with that on the night before I began working with the Moldavite. And in the middle of the night, I ended up becoming very angry with myself for not being able to release. And so therefore, I was stomping around, I was loud, I was waking people up in the house. I was basically like acting a little off my rocker, if you know what I mean. So anyway, then when I began to work with the Moldavite the next morning, I began to see myself how I was that night before. I began to see myself in a different light. And I actually began to see how that, pent up anger within me that was causing me to throw a tantrum was actually being released. I truly felt like I'm not going to be throwing these kind of tantrums anymore moving forward, because I literally saw myself in a different light while seeing myself kind of like in reflection regarding the night before. So that's how my Moldavite experience started this time, you guys. It was a little dramatic, but it's almost like I had this experience where I just simply couldn't release anything so that I could throw this huge temper tantrum. And of course, once it all settled down, once I just relaxed about it and decided, you know what, I'm just going to go to bed whether or not I released anything. And then I woke up the next morning able to completely release. So it's very strange the way that it happened. But it made me see myself in a different light. And it made me see my actions differently as well. It also made me realize that I have matured so much emotionally that having such an outbreak was something that is, it's not something that happens all the time. But it did happen all the time in, my past. So there is that. But in this experience of the Moldavite, that dramatic beginning actually led to so much awakening. There was so much shadow work that I've been dealing with since February 11th, 2021. So I just want to share a little bit from my journal regarding that experience and the beginning of my Moldavite experience this time before I get into the more current Moldavite experience that I'm having. Okay, you guys, so let me just share a little bit from my journal from February 11th, 2021. After I talked about that experience that I had where I just couldn't pee and I threw a huge tantrum, here's what I wrote following that. Luckily for me, I don't hang on to regret near as much as I used to, because that old me would hang on to it for a while until I would become sick to release it, usually through a cold. So on February 6, 2021, I wrote that I felt like spell work just helps me to bring heaven to earth. Moldavite was created when the heat from a meteorite changes the rocks in the area where the extraterrestrial meteorite hit the earth, thus creating something new by integrating heaven and earth, the lower nature and the higher nature. It's a special kind of alchemy that can only be fully understood when you also realize the spiritual implication. So, after I wrote about this, I began to write about how it's a new moon. So anyway, being a new moon, you can begin to realize and figure out where you want to go. What path do I want to take in this next cycle of my life? Because obviously with the new moon, it's all about new beginnings. And I just so began to work with the Moldavite right around that time. It said the moment of reflection and release that I had today was when I saw the memory of early Wednesday morning when I couldn't pee. The old me was on full display, flopping around while dying. Now it's the new moon. I feel like seeing myself on display helped me to release it. Now, with this new moon, I have space to create anew. Wednesday morning was a purge, bringing awareness to the parts of myself to change spiritually. It's about ascension, and it's working well with the Moldavite. All right, you guys. Now, all kinds of other experiences that I had from that moment on since I began working with the Moldavite has been all about bringing out my shadow so that I can release and purge that part of myself that no longer serves me and that only causes me to feel more in my lower nature. So I'm learning to live more and more in my higher nature, literally on a more constant basis. Now, another thing I realized while I was reflecting through my journal entries was that I have very deep and peaceful meditations while I'm working with Moldavite. And another thing that I realized is not only the release and purge that could take place with those parts of my shadow that are no longer serving me, but I also began to realize my own value and my own worth on a much deeper level. Instead of always giving myself away and not thinking that I deserve anything in return for all this work that I do for others, I began to see the value in what I have to give. And so I'm beginning to work with my sense of value and worth. And I'm beginning to understand that I can have all things flow to me, even though I am a spiritual healer. Now, with my Moldavite experience in part 2, I also realized that my opinion changed on how I wanted to work with the Moldavite. As you might remember, in part 1, I said that Moldavite was so strong when it gave me that headache reaction that at that point I decided if I ever wanted to work with Moldavite again, that I would not work with the Moldavite daily, that I would simply pick it up and put it down as I see fit. But this time around, the Moldavite would not allow me to leave it put down. Anytime that I was going to try to consciously just not bring the Moldavite along with me for my day, I got this deep sense of just this need to bring it with me. So just like the first time around, and just the sense of the beckoning of the Moldavite, you're either going to feel it physically that it's not the day to use it, or you're going to feel it within you intuitively that you just need to grab it and bring it with you. With Moldavite, it is best to keep your options open. So it's best to keep your mind open. It's best to keep your heart open, because you never know what you're going to experience, and you'll never know the new ways that you'll begin to see things as you begin to integrate, your own inner heaven and earth. The biggest thing that I learned this time around while working with my Moldavite is that in the end, love is all that matters. So no matter how we react, no matter how emotionally immature we can be, in the end of every single experience, it's the love that you can take from that experience and the lessons that you can gain by reflecting on those experiences that you have. So I started this Moldavite Experience Part 2 by letting go of anger, because I have always just been the type to repress it and just let it explode and overflow at the most inopportune times. So I'm now learning that I need to express myself in different ways rather than suppressing, because if you express and let this out, then it's more likely that it's going to wear itself out rather than stuffing it down, right? So I started this journey releasing all this anger, seeing myself from that lower perspective and realizing that is not for me, and letting it go, and forgiving myself for all of those times that in my life that I had, jumped to anger as my response. All right, so now on to the rest of my Moldavite experience for this video. So as many of you know, if you've been watching this channel, you might have realized that my mother-in-law just passed away on April 27th of this year, 2021. So right before her death, you may also know, if you've been watching for a while, that I lost my father-in-law only 6 months before, October 25th of 2020. So after my husband losing his father and then his mother, this is like a beautiful experience that we're having here, because we're all learning about, being here in the physical world where things are temporary, but yet being a spiritual being where things are permanent and can stick around. So really, like I said, all that matters in the end is the love that you can take with you, because that is what's permanent. Everything else in this world, as we've learned through the death of my mother-in-law, is temporary, and it is borrowed from spirit. You can't take your earthly possessions with you, but you can take the lessons that you learned while you were here, using those gifts from spirit. Okay, you guys, so just before my mother-in-law passed away, she was in hospice care. And while she was in hospice care, she told my husband that she had actually been working with a jewelry designer on getting me a necklace that will be a gift from her before her passing. She has been working on this for so long, but it turns out that it was taking such a long time because the person who was creating the beautiful pieces actually had to acquire a piece of Moldavite that was certified, as well as Moldavite beads that were certified. So I couldn't believe my ears when my husband told me that my mother-in-law laid in her dying bed telling him that she was purchasing me Moldavite. I just couldn't believe it. I don't even know if she knows about me working with my Moldavite. I have no idea if she watches the videos. So I just know that she knows I love crystals. And I think she might have asked Neil, my husband, if there were any particular crystals that I would love. And he knows that I was working with Moldavite at the time. So the day before my mother-in-law passed away, the evening right before she died, she ended up being able to pay for the necklace and made the purchase. Like literally less than 24 hours before she passed away. So she passed away on, I believe it was a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. And then the following Saturday, I received a package in the mail. I just can't believe it. And look, the box even says, someone is thinking of you. Isn't that sweet? But this is quite a large box, so I'm like, this is more than a Moldavite necklace. So we open it up, and this box is full of crystals. You guys, this is amazing. So there was also this little card inside, and it says, thank you so very much, Nancy. I included a few extra goodies for you too. Thank you for your patience. I hope it was worth it. I wrapped the Moldavite gifts separately for you too. Please make a speedy recovery. You are loved, Francesca. So that was the nice little card that she had included. And I also want to point out where these were purchased. So all of these crystals that I'm about to share with you were purchased by this person. My mother-in-law purchased from Francesca. Ciao Bella. Is that how you say it? And it's a certified crystal healer custom jewelry creations. www.ciaobellafrancesca.com. So I'll put that on the screen for you too. All right, you guys. So I opened these crystal gifts and it is so amazing, but I'm going to save the best for last. So let's just go through these now, shall we? So we'll start with this one. It's just a necklace on a cord, but look at this crystal, and it has a little star. How beautiful, you guys. So, of course, I inherited all this from Nancy. These are bronzite star bracelets that were also in the package. Look at these. Aren't they beautiful? Star-cut bronzites. Okay, so next, she also got the April's Super Full Moon collection. So this particular bracelet was actually charged in April's full moon, which is so cool to me. But this one is Herkimer Diamond, Clear Quartz, and Labradorite. Isn't that beautiful? And all charged in the full moon. This one is called the Alignment from Within Mala. This is so cool. Look at this, you guys. Look at this. It's beautiful. Look at these beautiful crystal beads. Oh my goodness. So the Alignment from Within Mala, which is this one. This one has the Udilite and the Lilac Lepidolite. So isn't that beautiful? And of course the quartz on the bottom. And you guys, as I'm opening each and every piece, I am like bawling my eyes out because I had no idea that all of this was coming, you know? My husband kind of let me know that there was a Moldavite piece coming, but I had no idea all of this was actually coming. This is amazing to me. This one's called Focused Inspiration. This one is so pretty too. Look at this. Starting here. Just look at it. I love it. So of course, again, these are all the crystal beads. These crystal beads are the Dumodorite. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. With the beads, and Dumodorite quartz beads also with silver accents, and then of course the clear quartz focal point on the end. It's beautiful. And next we have the Purple Rain Mala. This one is also so beautiful. Of course, it's amethyst. So all of these amethyst beads with an amethyst slice on the bottom, and also rainbow obsidian beads. She called this, it says here, she called it Purple Rain because the amethyst slice reminds her of a cloud, and these beads down below is reminding her of rain. I love it. So amethyst and rainbow obsidian make up the Purple Rain Mala. And finally, the last one at the bottom of the box, and it was wrapped separately in like a little bag. This one is called the green flash mala. And of course, this is Moldavite beads with smoky quartz beads. Look at all those beautiful green Moldavite beads. They're so beautiful. And look, ugh. And this really big chunk of Moldavite on the bottom. I mean, this is the Moldavite I was working with, you guys. And this is the Moldavite I'm working with today. And plus all these beads. And it has the copper accents holding it on. It is just beautiful. Can you guys see all that? Kind of. I wish you could see through it with the sunlight, which you might see a little bit through it. But this Moldavite is beautiful. And she also said she had enough of these beads, the smoky quartz beads, as well as the Moldavite beads, to make a matching bracelet. Which I also got a bracelet with the Moldavite beads and the smoky quartz. So Moldavite's over here, you can see that. Smoky quartz, and then the copper accents here. So I got this beautiful gift from my mother-in-law that was just full of these wonderful crystals. Honestly, it's like basically a wish list fulfilled. And especially with the last green flash mala, I could not believe I got this piece of Moldavite from my mother-in-law. She purchased it at the very last minute. So once again, I just felt so blessed. I felt like the Moldavite, once again, found its way to me. So now, this obviously just recently happened. So that's pretty much the end of my Moldavite experience part 2, you guys. I can't believe it. So just as a little review, this time around, I definitely was faced with my shadow, but in a way that I could then reflect on my shadow self, reflect on those parts of me that I no longer feel are serving me, so that I could then release them and let it go. So there's a lot of shadow work involved in my Moldavite, working with Moldavite this time around. And after the death of my mother-in-law and everything that we've been through over the years that I'm not even going to talk about today, and then receiving this wonderful gift from her, I totally understand that love is all that matters in the end. All that matters is the love that you leave behind. Everything else is just stuff. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. So if you like this video, be sure to click that like button and share this video with your friends out there. And of course, if you're a viewer but not yet a subscriber, I am inviting you now to click subscribe down below. And once you have subscribed, you can then click the bell to be notified each and every time I upload a new video. And you never know what I might upload next. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your time with me. I love you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.